Hello, this is Patrick Pfeiffer, bassist, author, composer, and clinician, and you're watching Case for Bass. When I got the contract to write bass guitar for dummies,
Yes.
then I was not known. I had taught some famous students and successfully, and I was known enough to be respected, but not enough to say, hey, you know, this is like an awful lot of work. You know, I don't want to really do this or something like that. Writing the For Dummies book was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was amazingly difficult. It took a year. I had lots of help, but it was amazingly difficult. Now, my thought was, all right, there are going to be a lot of people out there who are going to think, it's like, how come this guy gets to write this? You know, never mind, he's got the pedigree and the background. So do I. You know, why him? You know, English isn't even his native language, for Christ's sake, you know?
He's coming from Germany.
Yeah, but music is universal, and I'm going to add Western music. It was somewhere in Europe before it came here. So
yeah, there you go. So
well, actually, I want to add on top of that, because you're speaking of forget the music part. Let's talk about the politics. You know, the politics of being able to get the contract, and that's where people go, well, why not? Why me? Why not? You know, why not me? Why him? And can you add on to that?
Well, I got lucky. It's like one of my old students happened to be what was she? Well, she worked for a publishing. Something in publishing, I'm not quite sure, but anyway, a publishing agent, I think, a literary agent, and she knew somebody who was looking for somebody to write this book, and they pointed them into my direction. I said, great, you know, like I said, it was a very hard thing, but one of the things that I realized I have to do is I was going to pour everything I had into this book, literally holding nothing back. And make it as thorough and as beneficial for all bass players as I can, and as timeless. Okay, but I needed it to get past that hump of where people say, "Who is this guy?" You know, it's just like it's a dummies book. I'm not going to touch this. So I asked my friend Will Lee if he would write the foreword.
Wow.
And he's meticulous about it. He is somebody I admire greatly because he's got that skill set, and I'll get to that in just a second. To like, people love working with him. They love working with him. I can see why. I've seen him in many different situations. This guy is amazing. You know, he's not just an amazing player. He's selfless. He's friendly. He's supportive. He's amazing. So he said, well, he didn't say yes right away. He said, well, let me read what you've got. You know, so I sent him some sample chapters, and he says, yes, you know, I like this. Let me write this. So he wrote a foreword, and I was so happy to get it. I submitted it, and then there was one editor that I didn't quite get along with the publisher. There were 6 editors altogether on the first book. One editor who was overseeing me, who I didn't get along with, and she futzed with his forward, and I was livid.
Wow.
And I mean, I was like ready for a knee-jerk reaction and letting her have it, but then I ran it by Will first. I said, Will, I just have to share this with you. This is what they've done. And this is what they've asked for. And if you don't want to do that, I totally understand it. I'm going to go to bat for you. And, you know, instead of saying, yeah, man, you know, it's just like, what are they thinking? You know, this is my stuff, you know.
You're interfering with my creativity.
Right. And you know what he said was just like, well, let's see what else we can do. Just like that. He was immediately looking.
Wow.
That's cool.
There was no ego. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. If there was one lesson I learned, and I learned many, but one of the most important lessons is just like the way he works and the way he handles situations like that. And that was, instead of this, you're wrong and I'm right, it was just like, well, let's see what we can do.
Maybe we can agree.
Yeah, and you always, it's like all of a sudden, if the other person feels like he or she is listened to, that changes the whole dynamic.
You can hear that in his playing, actually.
Yeah, it's just it's beautiful, and so
Wow.
hugely beneficial. And you can tell people like that. Will is really a rare human being and bass player. He's just phenomenal in terms.
That's one of the reasons why he's still working.
The what?
That's one of the reasons why he's still working. That's one of the reasons why he's still wanted.
That's
I
right.
went to the Victor Wooten Bass Camp, and Chuck Rainey was there, and he was talking about how making yourself desirable for people, making yourself so that people want to have you. He goes, there were times where there'd be other musicians who would hear what he's making, and they'd say, "Well, I want to make what Chuck's making," and the producer would say, "Yeah, sure, I'll give it to you," but then they would never hire him ever again.
Yeah,
You would never get that call back.
yeah,
And then there were times where, what did Chuck Rainey say? He once said he didn't like working with Aretha Franklin because she didn't pay that well. You know, but he said, my name's going on to Aretha's record, and we know that the record label is going to push it. Therefore, I get bigger and better and more jobs.
that's right.
So he goes, you have to know where to make that sacrifice, and you have to know where to actually just kind of shut up. What did he say? He goes, take it in the nuts, as he said at the camp. Take it and then move on with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's a taking the long view of things. That's very important. He does well. Chuck Rainey is another sweet human being, wonderful bass player, just a legend. And I got to meet him and talk with him at one of the bass player live shows in New York City.
Hmm.
Yeah. He's just a very heartfelt human being. Beautiful.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a video I watched before you came on, and you were at Gerald Vesey's bass camp, and you were on stage with Gerald and Michael Manring, and it was, I mean, it's pretty impressive, but to let alone have 4 bass players playing at the same time.
Yes.
And
knowing, you got a knowledge of bass. Everyone.
Oh, by the way, I want to say your solo. That wasn't, you were doing Come Together?
Yes, that was my arrangement.
I said
Your
that like to
solo.
Anthony. Just,
Yes.
you
It
know,
was beautiful. Just so you know.
Thank you.
know, and there's a lot of what we would call staying in your lane.
Mm-hmm.
And when you decide to turn the wheel and really command the road, there's a lot going on, and like do you find that growing experience occurs when you talk about getting recognized? Was that a getting recognized moment for you?
That about being regular, being welcomed into the fold, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It is. It means a lot. It's something that you earn, and when people think you're ready, that's when it happens. It happens, but it happens naturally. If you stick it out long enough, the most important thing in this career is perseverance.
Yes.
Perseverance is the one thing that pulls you through. Being at it 5 years into it with nothing to show but still going for it. And then all of a sudden you're on the other side of it. That is such an important lesson for people to learn. Perseverance is the most important quality you can bring to the table, along with talent and all that stuff. But talent won't do you any good without perseverance. Knowledge won't do you any good without perseverance. It's like you need that thing, that lets you stick it out in the face of terrible odds. It doesn't matter, you have to be with it. You have to stay with it, and that is it. And in a place like New York City, that more than anything else would get you through.